Bible is proved again with a 2,500-year-old artifact that not only confirms this thing happened, but confirms that it was prophesied about 150 years before it happened. Check this out.
All right, let's see it.
This ancient clay cylinder confirms one of the important events in the Bible that will blow your mind. The Bible tells us that after 70 years of captivity in Babylon, King Cyrus of Persia made the daring decision to free the Jewish exiles and help rebuild their temple. But it's unbelievable. Why would a foreign king like Cyrus do this? This raised doubts about the Bible's account.
So this is inaccurate. The majority of scholars have always accepted the historicity of the story of Cyrus allowing the Judahites to return home and rebuild their temple. There had certainly been growing skepticism since the Enlightenment about the historicity of a lot of the Bible's narratives, but there were other histories about this period from folks like Herodotus and Xenophon that described Cyrus as tolerating other societies and their worship practices. And so this part of the biblical narrative was never under serious doubt from scholars.
But in 1879, everything changed when archaeologists uncovered a clay cylinder from 538 BC. This artifact contained ancient inscriptions which showed that Cyrus issued a decree allowing captives to return home and rebuild their temples. This confirmed the Bible's account of a 2,500-year-old event and is regarded as the first declaration of human rights.
So this is a flagrant misrepresentation of the contents of the Cyrus Cylinder, which are entirely about the land of Babylon, and never once mention any decree about any captives returning to a homeland and rebuilding their temple. And the quoted part that sounds like it's talking about people returning to their homes, that seems to be from lines 30 to 34, which are actually about returning the images of Babylonian gods to their Babylonian temples. You can see that portion here where it begins from blank to Asher and Susa, Agade, Eshnunnak, Zamban, Maternu, Deri, with the territory of the land of Kutu, the cities on the other side of the Tigris, whose sites were of ancient foundation. The gods who resided in them, I brought back to their places and caused them to dwell in a residence for all time. And the gods of Sumer and Akkad, whom Nabonidus, to the anger of the Lord of the gods, had brought into Babylon, by the command of Marduk, the great Lord, I caused them to take up their dwelling and residence that gladdened their hearts. So this has absolutely nothing to do with the notion that this Cyrus Cylinder is all about human rights, that slaves were freed, that captives were sent home, that there was money given to rebuild temples and all this kind of stuff. That is based on a fake translation that began to surface a few decades ago of a missing portion of the Cyrus Cylinder. That missing portion was discovered and restored around 1970, but that fake translation gained a lot of traction because the last Shah of Iran in 1963 published a book wherein they claimed that this was the first declaration of human rights and freed slaves and all this kind of stuff. And so that gave an awful lot of support to this fake translation, which a lot of people to this very day still seem to think is real, and it's not.
What's even more amazing is that Isaiah actually predicted this event 150 years before Cyrus was even born, mentioning him by name. Don't believe me? Read for yourself.
So this is another falsehood. There are no data that support the notion that Isaiah predicted this 150 years before Cyrus was even born, and contrary to this content creator's claim that they made at the beginning of this video, the Cyrus Cylinder does not constitute proof that this was a real prophecy, because the only references to Cyrus the Great come from what is known as Deutero-Isaiah, or Second Isaiah, which is Isaiah chapters 40 through 55, which the overwhelming majority of scholars agree were composed after the exile by someone who wasn't even pretending to be Isaiah. They're not speaking prophetically about the exile as something that was going to happen off in the future. They're speaking about it as something that already happened in their own past. And the style changes once we get from Isaiah 39 to 40. The content changes. The perspective changes. This is not a prophecy about something that would happen in the future. This is just an author whose works were later appended on to first Isaiah and confused for the works of Isaiah, talking about something that they already know happened in their own past. So this content creator doesn't really know what they're talking about, neither does the creator of the video being featured in this video. This is all pure and utter nonsense. And the fit for this video has been bizarro.